Yo, what's up, guys? We're back for another week, and this week it's Dana White Contender Series Week 5. But first, I'm going to go over the UFC Boise card that we had last week. And for the first fight of the night on that card, it was Jessica Aguilar against Jodie Escobar. And I was incorrect on that pick. I was actually pretty confident in Jodie Escobar, so I was kind of surprised that, she kind of shit the bed in that fight. It seemed like she just, I don't know, she was thrown from too far out, it seemed like, and Aguilar was the one that was connecting with a little bit better shots. I actually thought she won that fight first and third round pretty clearly, but, for Escobar, I just thought that was a terrible performance. I'm not sure. She just didn't show up in that fight. But moving on to the next fight, we had Mark De La Rosa against Elias Garcia, and we got this one right. It was an underdog pick with Mark De La Rosa, and really not sure why Mark De La Rosa was the underdog in that fight, to be honest with you, because he had already had his first fight in the UFC against Tim Elliott. He's been training out there with the Scrap Pack. He really kind of has that similar type style, that boxer wrestling style. And the dude's legit, man. I mean, he's, especially for 125, he's a big guy, has a lot of power for that division. Definitely can get takedowns on top. Very slick with the submissions. And, very nice boxing on the feet. He really likes to get in that pocket, close the distance. You could tell that, he was a little bit worried by Elias's kind of crazy techniques, but he was shutting that shit down, man. He was closing that distance, jamming the kicks, and, Elias was doing some crazy stuff like jumping for triangles, stuff like that, but none of that was very close, and then when he got that rear naked choke, it was over in a hurry, man. He definitely has a good squeeze, it looks like, and, good performance there from Mark De La Rosa. And up next, we had Liz Carmouche against Jennifer Maia, and, good performance by Liz Carmouche, man. I mean, Liz Carmouche is someone that I had to see it to believe it, just solely because, she loses a lot of fights that she's winning. She loses a lot of fights that she should win. So, especially her last fight against Alexis Davis, I mean, really just a very bad fight there for her. So, that's why I picked Maia going into this matchup. But Liz Carmouche showed everyone, what people were excited about her about when she fought Caitlin Chookagian, which was, that pressure passing game, that jiu-jitsu, 10th planet, those takedowns, that athleticism to close the distance, get those takedowns. And, she was looking like the real deal in that fight. She really put it all together. And, good for her, man. Good for Liz Carmouche. She got a pretty big-time win. Jennifer Maia was the Invicta champion coming over, had a lot of momentum. So, Liz Carmouche kind of announced herself right in that top 5, in my opinion. She's a very good fighter over there for 125. And up next, we had Ronnie Barcelos against Kurt Holobaugh. And shit, man, this was a hell of a fight. Ronnie Barcelos looked great, man. I mean, he was landing that uppercut all night. His takedowns were just really nice. I mean, I just thought that overall, I just thought he looked incredible, man. His jiu-jitsu. In that first round, he jumped on a tight guillotine. It looked like the fight was over, but, the bell rang. Was really piecing him up with long combinations. He was getting him to move backwards. When he was getting him to move backwards, he was landing really nasty left hands, a right hook. And then that finishing uppercut, man, that right uppercut that knocked him out was terrible. I mean, highlight reel. And Ronnie Barcelos, man, I mean, that guy's legit. He's someone that I could definitely see, jumping right into the top 15 in that division and doing very well there. I mean, that guy's a beast, man. He's a huge 145 as well. And Kurt Holobaugh, I actually thought Kurt Holobaugh had a good performance, man. I mean, he got the loss there, but, thought he did pretty well and think that he could win some fights in the UFC as well. And then next we had Said Nurmagomedov against Justin Scoggins, and I had picked Justin Scoggins here in the upset, and, I'm going to still say Justin Scoggins won that fight, man. I know that the judges said Said won that fight, but, I thought that was completely ridiculous, man. I gave Scoggins all 3 rounds. I thought he won the first 3 rounds. The third round was close. He was able to get that takedown. But once he got up, Scoggins was landing the bigger shots on the feet. And he was landing side kicks. He was landing that straight punch all day. He dropped Nurmagomedov twice. In the round 1 and in round 2, he dropped him. And I don't know, man. I thought that Scoggins won that fight. He was slip countering. He was really, boogieing on this guy. I thought he looked really good. I thought he finessed Said Nurmagomedov, but, tough robbery there for Justin Scoggins. On the media scores, I saw that every single media member had the fight scored for Justin Scoggins there. So, Not sure what the judges saw on that one. But up next, we had Alexander Volkanovski against Darren Elkins. And, Darren Elkins, man, you got to hand it to that guy. He got, he could take some freaking shots, man. I mean, that guy was getting blasted, man. I mean, especially that first round. That first round, I don't know how they did not give that round a 10-8. But, man, he had him hurt multiple times. I do think it was a little bit of a bad game plan for Volkanovski to jump on those guillotines after he had him hurt. I think he definitely maybe could have finished if he, would have went for the finish when he had the guy out on his feet. And, for Volkanovski, that's a big-time win. Darren Elkins had won 6 in a row. Everyone knows how tough he is. And for Darren Elkins, that's a tough loss, man. I mean, I don't think he should have been fighting Alexander Volkanovski like Volkanovski said. And to get a loss there, he kind of cements himself as the gatekeeper for that division. I don't think he's ever going to get another, title shot. I think with a win, he could have maybe even put himself in good position to get a title shot, get a number 1 contender spot. But with the loss here, really sets him back big time. And it's a shame, man, because Darren Elkins is a guy that's just like the ultimate grinder, man. He's never going to give up, warrior spirit, and showed that once again going the distance. But Volkanovski was just way too much for him. And that was the most confident pick that was the one half of the parlay of the week, and we happened to hit the parlay of the week again, so that was really nice. We've hit it 8 out of the last 9 weeks. And then for the next one, which was the most confident pick in the other leg of the parlay of the week, was Alejandro Perez against Eddie Wineland. I see a lot of people, talking shit about that fight, saying that they thought, Wineland won. But, in my opinion, I thought Alejandro Perez won the first 2 rounds. I thought that the third round was actually also close as well, but I gave the third round to Eddie Wineland. But the first round was pretty close, but I thought that Perez was the one landing the big shots. Perez wobbled Wineland quite a few times as well, and Wineland just got that one knockdown. But besides that, I thought Alejandro was the one putting the pressure on him. I thought he was the one landing the shots, and the second round as well, I thought he landed the cleaner shots in that round. And, he's won 6 fights in a row. He's kind of like a weasel, he weasels out these decisions, and he got another one, man. And for Eddie Wineland, that's a tough loss. I don't know where he's going to go from here in his career. I don't know if he's going to stick around in the UFC. I don't know really what he wants to do, but he didn't look too bad in that fight. And up next, we had Kat Zingano against Marion Renault, and good fight. Marion Renault, I thought that she just looked a little bit off. I thought that maybe she was feeling the moment a little bit because she was getting a little over aggressive. She would be looking pretty dangerous on the feet, and she would run into a takedown, and that was kind of the story of the fight. Kat Zingano was just able to really slam Marion, really dominate her. Marion did some questionable things like pulling guard, which I didn't think was the smartest game plan, especially against a girl like Kat who's just much physically stronger than her. So, she took that loss, but I'm still a big fan of Marion Renault. And for Kat Zingano, that's awesome, man. Great win. You saw how emotional she was after the win, and now she's going to get to keep fighting in the UFC. I think she should still keep fighting these higher echelon girls. I don't see that I don't think she's going to win a title or anything like that. She was talking about fighting Amanda Nunes. But I do think that she's a tough test, man. She's a tough girl. She hits with big power, and she has good takedowns. So, and up next we had Chad Mendes against Miles Jury. And, fun fight, man. I originally had Chad Mendes picked on the video. Went back and picked Miles Jury. I heard a lot of people talking about Miles Jury's going to win. It kind of swayed me the other way, man. Should have kept my original pick here. Chad Mendes just looked great. Too explosive, too fast for Miles Jury. Closed that distance, landed that overhand, knocked him down, and just finished him with that ground and pound. And looked really good. Didn't miss a beat. And that's an interesting guy now in that 145-pound division. You could give him to Brian Ortega, the winner of Moicano versus Cub Swanson. There's a bunch of fights that I would enjoy seeing Chad Mendes in. And for Miles Jury, it seems like he just can't get over that hump. Whenever he gets a big-time opponent, takes a loss. And tough loss for Miles Jury there. Maybe he could bounce back, or maybe he'll never, become what people think he'll be. But we're going to have to wait and see for that. And up next, we had Nico Price gets Randy Brown. And, man, Nico Price, I never want to miss a Nico Price fight, man. I don't think anyone wants to miss a Nico Price fight. That guy's a warrior. He lays it all out there, just a complete dog. In that first round, he was getting pieced up. He was getting wobbled a bit. Randy Brown was, just dominating, man. He was getting the back. He got a back triangle, and really dominated that round. And then you see Price in the second round. He gets a takedown, and I think he went for the takedown, or he got the takedown at the end of the first round, right? Yeah. And then in the second round, I think he went for a takedown and ended up getting reversed. Brown was on top, and Price looked like he rolled for a knee bar, and Brown's chin was just sitting there right on his leg. He just hammer fisted him to sleep. It was really one of the craziest KOs I've ever seen in my life, man. And Herb Dean just Herb Dean just stopped the fight because he was knocked out cold, man. I mean, he landed about 3 or 4 shots after he was knocked out, and really interesting position too. He had him with the instep of his foot, so it was accentuating the power on the shots. Really kind of an interesting position there. And for Nico Price, he just keeps on winning, man. He keeps on losing until he's winning. He did that against Brandon Thatch, against George Sullivan. He was getting pieced up a bit against Randy Brown as well. But he always seems to come back, get a way to win, man. Against Alex Morono, he got dropped a couple times. Came back, got the finish in that one as well. And, man, he's a finisher, bro. When he has you hurt, or even when he doesn't have you hurt, he can finish it with one punch, just like we saw. So, Nico Price, someone really fun to watch, man. Really fun to watch. And up next, we had Rick Glenn against Dennis Bermudez. This was another fight that, in my opinion, was a little bit questionable. I really thought that Dennis Bermudez won this fight. The first round, Rick Glenn definitely won the first round, I think. It was a close round, but, I thought Glenn was able to stop the takedown attempts. He landed a couple kicks. And, Glenn was doing a little damage off his back. I guess landed some elbows and stuff. But I thought the takedowns really cemented the rounds. I thought Bermudez won that fight, man. But they gave it to Rick Glenn, so, good win for Rick Glenn. For Dennis Bermudez, that's 3 straight split decision losses. Kind of reminds me of the way George Masvidal lost 3 straight split decisions back in the day. Obviously, don't think they're at the same level. I think Masvidal is, an elite level fighter. But, that really sucks, 3 straight split decision losses. But we're moving on, Sage Northcutt against Zach Otto, and kind of interesting fight, it kind of showed us a lot, it showed us kind of some things, first round, Sage gets dropped right away, and takes him down, he's on top, he's all over him, he tries to pull for the guillotine, got the mount, and really just looked really smooth. He looked like he was just much better than Northcutt on the ground, But when Northcutt got up, he really started putting it to Zach Otto. And you saw Zach Otto was getting a little bit dazed by jabs. He was like, oh, shit, this dude could has some speed, man. And when he took him out, man, he was, Otto was trying to slow things down. He was trying to kind of, not make it so hectic. And, Northcutt was just slamming him with right hands, left hands, really fast. He went for the takedown, took Otto down with landed some hammer fists to the side of the head and knocked him out. And it was just great performance by Sage Northcutt. He battled through adversity again. That's the second fight in a row he's came back from getting dropped, got the victory here. And, I don't know who we should give Sage next. I see people saying give him Nico Price. I think Nico Price would take Sage Northcutt's soul at this point in his career, man. I really do. But, I think it's time to maybe give him a little bit of a step up. Zach Otto's a fringe UFC guy. Maybe give him, a Brian Barberino level guy. Maybe, the winner of that Alex Morono fight that he's fighting next week. Something like that. I don't know. But I don't think he's ready for a Nico Price, a guy that's just a straight-up killer. But up next, we had Junior Dos Santos versus Blagoy Ivanov in the main event. Really kind of exactly what I pictured, Junior sticking on the outside, using his jab, using his range, moving around, and just I thought he won every round of that fight. I thought that it was really clear that he won every round. He was just dominating. I didn't think Blagoy was active enough. He kind of started to try to pick it up at the end of the fight, but, he's just much too slow for Junior. Junior's a beast, man. Junior's still good, but I did not like really the ways that Junior was defending sometimes, the way that he would back up against the cage, just turn his shoulder and I don't know, but dude, the thing about Blagoy, he wasn't that impressive, but he could take some shots, man, because fucking, Junior can bang. He's knocked out so many fucking guys, and Blagoy's eating those punches. It didn't even seem like he was getting affected by them, so that dude's a really tough guy. He has a great chin, and, he's really just trying to counter with that overhand right, left hook. And I think he landed a couple times, landed it to the body, but it really wasn't super effective. And Junior got himself a big win there. And Junior called out Stipe for a number 1 contender fight, but it seems like Stipe's keen on getting a rematch, so don't think that's going to happen, to be honest, because of Brock. So maybe that fight with Junior will happen, or maybe his fight with Francis will get rescheduled. Who knows? But good to see Junior back in there. And for Blagoy, he's still a top 15 guy, in my opinion. And we're going to be moving on now to Dana White Contender Series Week 5. And the first fight of the night is Edmund Shahbazyan, I guess. I'm not really 100% positive on how to pronounce that, against Antonio Jones. And Antonio Jones is a Muay Thai striker out of Pete Spratt Muay Thai. Pete Spratt's a former UFC fighter, fought in MMA, pretty big name back in the day. And Antonio Jones is still very much a developing fighter. I feel like he's kind of maybe a new fighter. It looks like he's like a Green Beret, or he was in the Army, because he has pictures on Instagram of himself, doing stuff like Green Beret type stuff. So I think that maybe he's a military guy that transitioned into MMA, and has a decent jab, good low leg kick, throw a nice straight right hand, try to catch you with the hard overhand right on the counter. He has okay speed and explosion, but he doesn't have big power. Okay front and body kick, he'll throw the front kick to the head, body kick. Doesn't have great movement or foot speed, though, and people can close the distance on him and hold him against the cage easily. He seems to be strong, but not technical with the striking. He can get taken down against the cage, doesn't have great ground game, doesn't do a good job getting his back off the cage. He can get body locks himself, though, but on top he isn't great. He has good cardio. He hasn't fought many good guys. He does hold a win over UFC vet Roger Narvaez, so that's a good win. And he has a 7-1 with a submission loss, so 7-1's a pretty good record. He's going to be fighting Edmund, like I said. Edmund's only 20 years old. He's only been a pro for a year and a half. 6-0 with 6 TKOs. And he's a guy that I've seen videos of him, like, from 7 years ago at an MMA gym getting interviewed. And him and his brother. So I think that they've been training for a long time, like since they were kids. And you can kind of tell, he's very fluid on the feet. You could see that, very fluid, very athletic. Just looks like he has a good feel for the game. And he won via submission in less than a minute in a fight that I saw. I watched another one of his fights. Looks pretty athletic. He landed a nice straight right hand. Got in on the body, got the takedown. Has a good rear naked choke. Looks like he's a wrestler. He's won all his fights in round 1. And I think that he's just going to take down Jones against the cage and get a round 1 ground and pound stoppage. I think that he's just much better than Antonio Jones. He is fighting at a Glendale fighting gym, so I'm kind of hoping to see my boy Edmund Tarverdian in the corner, because if if Edmund's in the corner, that fool's going to have his head movement on point, bro. He's going to be moving that head like crazy, and, Edmund's going to keep him, there might be a fight after the fight, too, in the cage, who knows? Maybe Fabricio will be there. He could throw a boomerang at Edmund. I don't know. We're going to move on. Austin Vanderford against Angelo Trevino, and, Austin Vanderford is Paige Van Sant's man, I guess, and that's how he got this opportunity. And he's fighting against Angelo Trevino, who's a long-time guy at Team Alpha Male. I've been hearing Uriah Faber drop that name, Angelo Trevino, for years, man, like 7-8 years. So I feel like he's probably been training there at that gym since he was a little kid. And for Austin Vanderford, though, he's an NAIA national champion wrestler, strong athlete. He's a huge guy for 170. He's still extremely raw, to be honest. I don't even think he's close to UFC level. His striking sucks, man. He just tries to close the distance, get a takedown. But he keeps his chin high, his hands low, gets tagged on the feet. Even for guys with losing records, he basically just throws bombs from the waist, tries to, throw bombs and close that distance. Very bad footwork, doesn't move his feet, just stands very stationary right in front of you. Doesn't move his head, he doesn't set his shots up yet or shoots MMA shots yet. Still shoots very low wrestling shots from way too far out. I see people with very poor takedown defense see that coming, stop it, because those takedowns really work in MMA. And he was doing a good job getting in on the leg, and when you would try to disengage, he would do like a fireman's carry, take you down. And if he can establish position on the ground, then he is good and pretty dangerous. He has a super heavy top game, pretty good arm triangle. He isn't a big ground and pounder. Instead, he just looks for submissions. And he's only been a pro for a year and a half, but he has won a title. He won 5 rounds with Ben Fodor. Phoenix Jones, that superhero guy, so, that guy's decent. His whole game plan is going to be to get the fight to the ground, go to work, and he's going to be in serious trouble if he can't get the fight to the ground for sure. And he's going to be fighting Angelo Trevino. Trevino fights out of Page's old gym, Team Alpha Male, so he's been training there since he was 13 years old, so 11 years training there at Team Alpha Male. Ton of experience wrestling and doing jiu-jitsu as well. He's 24 years old now. He likes to grapple mostly. He's athletic, shows some decent hand speed from the outside. Good jab, good straight right hand. Nice high kick, good Muay Thai clinch knee. He likes to straight and get in the clinch, work against the cage, land knees and elbows. He's strong in the clinch. He can get a takedown. He can slam guys. On top, he has good ground and pound. His 2 losses has been by getting caught in a guillotine. He fought Bobby Nash, UFC veteran. And he's been training MMA way longer than Vanderford, with better guys than Vanderford's been training with. And although Trevino likes to wrestle, he should look to anti-wrestle in this fight, keep Vanderford standing in this one. He has much cleaner, crisper shots than Vanderford. He can throw some nice kicks, like spinning heel kicks. And he's just more fluid on the feet. He's light on his feet. He's explosive, closing the distance. And I am worried that he'll get taken down. His takedown defense is a little questionable. And, Vanderford looks like a big guy. Trevino looks like he's pretty big as well. So I'm not sure he's going to have the strength advantage, but I would imagine it'd be Vanderford. And sometimes, Trevino can get in these scramble fest type fights, and I don't think he should do that against Vanderford. I think that Vanderford has never been out of round 1 either, or put on his back, so I think that if Trevino can get him on his back safely, I think that that's a big thing. And I think that the first round is going to be a big thing, man. I think that if you see Trevino forcing Vanderford to stand with him early in round 1, and Vanderford's not able to get that takedown, I think that his confidence is going to shoot down, way down, man. I think that he's going to get tired very quickly striking as well if he can't get the takedowns. And I just think this is a little too early for Austin Vanderford, man. I think that he should be fighting some more regional fights. I think that Angelo Trevino is a guy that, like I said, he's been training at Team Alpha Male since he's 13 years old. Definitely seen a lot of great wrestlers. Think of all the guys in that camp. Chad Mendez, all those great guys in that camp, even though they're not really the same size as Angelo now, but back in the day when Angelo was growing up, when he was smaller, he obviously probably was training with a bunch of those guys. Now he has Sage Northcutt to train with, people like that. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Angelo Trevino to get the win by either late first round TKO or early second round TKO. And I'm kind of confident in that pick. I think that he should be able to get it done there. And I'm next to have Don Pilarte against Vincent Morales. And saw the line for this fight, and I don't agree with it at all. Vincent Morales is a boxer. He's pretty one-dimensional, but that one dimension is pretty good. Fast, crisp hands, nasty punching combinations, extremely accurate, sick jab. He'll double, triple up on the jab, pop the jab out, then throw that straight right hand. Very nice and clean with that straight right hand. Has good power on it. Good short right hook in the pocket. You'll unload with clean punching combos. He likes to land the long leaping right hand if you're backing up. He is aggressive, keeps a good pace, doesn't throw kicks or go for takedowns, so he's just a boxer really. He has a questionable chin. When he gets clips, he'll wobble a lot in fights. He does have a good ability to recover, keep going. Very questionable takedown defense, doesn't have good technique in the clinch either. He can be controlled against the fence, doesn't dig for double underhooks, or do anything to get his back off the cage really. Off his back, he doesn't have much. He can get ground and pounded or submitted. Overall, his hands are super clean though. He'll be a problem standing for a lot of guys. Unfortunately, he isn't well-rounded, so it's hard to imagine he gets far in the UFC unless he shows pretty substantial growth in his ground game. But for Pilarte, he's an aggressive southpaw. Striking is not super technical, but he's aggressive. He'll throw the straight left hand with full power, try to double, triple up on it, close the distance, overwhelm you early. He has a solid left high kick. He's wide with the shots, keeps his chin too high. He wings a lot of punches full power, making himself susceptible to counters. He does have decent takedowns, and will use a game plan of wrestling control for the whole fight. Doesn't do a ton on the ground, but he can hold down his opponents and win rounds. He's gassed in the past in fights. He's very questionable cardio. He'll need to close the distance, get in the clinch, get the cage, get the takedown. If he tried to strike with this guy, he is in danger of getting knocked out 100%. And for Pilarte, he has 2 submissions, 2 KOs, and 7 wins. Morales has all 7 of his fights by finish. He has 5 TKOs, 2 submissions. He did lose 1 fight via submission. Pilarte has never been finished himself. Both guys have not faced super stiff competition. I've only found limited footage of Pilarte, but he looks as if he has decent takedowns. He'll drive with the double legs, and I can see him doing that here. As long as he doesn't get clipped and hurt with something, he should be able to get in on Morales' legs, get takedowns, and win the fight. But that's a very close fight right there. But I'm going to go with Don Pilarte in the upset, and I don't know why the line is so wide, to be honest with you. And, up next, we have a fight between Anthony Adams, who's coming in on very short notice here. And I've seen that he's fought some fights at 170. And he's fighting a huge guy in Chidi, who's a 6'3", 185-pounder. And he looks very physically strong. And like I said, Anthony Adams is also taking this fight on very short notice. I think 2 or 3 days notice. And Adams is a pretty quick, athletic guy, but he doesn't use it as well as he should on the feet. He needs to get better with his movement. He doesn't know how to stick and move yet. He has to be planted in front of you to land. He'll try really explosive actions like Superman punches so he can get in the clinch. And that's really where he's more comfortable. He likes riding the clinch, try for takedowns. But he isn't dangerous in those areas. He's won all 7 decisions in his career. He's 7-0 with 7 decisions. He has fought in some title fights. He has fought in a 5-rounder before. But he hasn't fought the highest level of competition. And, really what he likes to do is really just control against the clinch, against the cage, try to make the fight slow, try to make it ugly. He tries to land these explosive one-shot kicks or these one punches, like Superman punches from the outside, but doesn't really put combos together. And is going to be much smaller, I think, in this fight than Chidi is. And Chidi's a huge 185er. He weighed 195 pounds in his last fight. And he seems to have decent Muay Thai technique. Good hard leg kicks. He'll throw a nice knee. Good straight punches. Seems to have huge power. Throw hard knees to the clinch against the cage and finish the fight. And I think if Adams thinks he's going to come in here and control the bigger man against the fence for 3 rounds, I think he's going to be surprised. I have seen Chidi control against the fence for very short periods of time, but really good at exploding out, powering out of there. And, in my opinion, Adams is open to get hit when he throws strikes if you counter him. He keeps his head right on center line, doesn't move it, and his chin is a little bit high. And I've seen him get a little bit stunned by some shots by some people in fights. And this just seems like a swatch match, man, for the much bigger guy. Props to Adams for taking this fight on a couple of days' notice, but I'm going with Chidi here by first-round knockout. And, yeah. And then next we have Barber against JB Khalid. And, fun fight. I see a lot. I don't really get why the line is so wide. I mean, I do think that Barber is a good talent. She's only 20 years old. She's trained out of Colorado, so she definitely has a lot of cardio. And she fights like it, man. She's a dog. She tries to close that distance. She has good kicks. I think she comes from a Taekwondo or a karate background because she keeps those hands low, has kind of the wide stance, throws kicks from the outside, tries to close the distance with explosive punching combinations, and really try to be in and out of the feet. And she has good body locks, good timing on her body lock takedowns. And on top, she's very vicious. She'll get the rear naked, or try to go for the rear naked choke at the back. And she's all about damage. When she has that back position, she'll be unloaded with huge right hands, really putting big power into them. And, really always try to inflict damage. When she gets to that mount, she's raining down shots. I've seen her break a girl's arm in a fight, just snap it. So it doesn't really care about inflicting a lot of punishment. And, great cardio as well. She's able to push. She really just wears out a lot of her opponents. I've seen that where, she just keeps coming. She can get hit with some big shots. And that's a thing that I think JB Khalid could definitely exploit. That's why I think this fight should be lined much closer because Barber still has a lot of openings on the feet in terms of she still comes in very open. She'll try to come in with a kick. She have her hands down, her chin straight up in the air. And if JB Khalid can connect with a straight punch and knock her down or knock her out, I mean, she could win this fight for sure. And we saw against Tiffany Masters that JB Khalid's ground game is just not that bad. I mean, I do think that if they have, a ground fight in this fight, I think that definitely Barber will be the one that comes out the winner here. But, Khalid has some decent ground game as well. And I've seen her, on YouTube trading out with, Robert Garcia, Mikey Garcia, down there in California. So she's been training her boxing, and that's a very good gym to be training your boxing. You know, those guys are some of the best traded, boxing boxers in the world down there. And, she has a knockout win over Danielle Taylor. And Danielle Taylor also knocked her out as well. But, Danielle Taylor's a UFC fighter. And I know they all want Maycee Barber to win here because she's very, marketable. And I kind of do think, this is a very close fight to call in my opinion. I don't, mind anyone taking the dog shot on Jamie Colleen. And as well for that fight on the Dana White Contender Series, her last fight, I watched an interview with James Lynch where she said that she had a torn ACL in that fight. So she is fighting on one leg basically in that fight. So definitely we could see a big time improvement here in terms of her takedown defense, in terms of her on the ground and her movement on the feet. And this is a tough fight to call for me, man. But I'm going to go with Maycee Barber. I say that I don't think that Khalid's going to have the power to knock her out potentially. I think that Maycee's going to be able to know that she has to get this fight to the ground. She has to get on top. And I think she's going to be able to work with body locks, get on top, get to the ground. And I think she'll find a submission in the third round. I'm going to say submission by third round, submission for Maycee Barber. But would not be surprised, to be honest, to see Jamie Colleen, get the upset victory in this fight. But yep, that's it for the Dana White Contender Series fights this week. And, I guess if I had to give you guys a parlay of the week, the odds aren't the greatest here for these fights, but I would say Angelo Trevino is a good dog pick. I think that if you want to take a shot, he's someone that could be a good pick. Dom Pilarte as well. And like I said, as well with Jamie Colleen. But I do think that probably Dom and Jamie are a little bit more closer fights, where actually I think Angelo should be the favorite in his fight. But, I guess if I had to give you guys a parlay, I would say to parlay Edmond and Chidi together. And, that would be my parlay of the week. And I think Edmond would be my most confident pick. So, alright guys, hope you guys enjoyed this Dana White Contender Series breakdown. And I'm going to be back next week for Alvarez versus Poirier. And that's a hell of a fight, man. I can't wait for that rematch. So, see you guys then.